everyone, it's Siobhan here. Today's hair idea is inspired by the character of Lathgertha from the History Channel show The Vikings. There's only a few episodes that are out right now, but I've been following it since it started and I really like it a lot. And of course I love the hair on the main actress. There's always these really cool braids. So what I'm going to show you guys today is kind of a mashup of several different hairstyles that I've seen her wearing on the show. So it's not like inspired by one in particular, it's kind of inspired by all of them so far. And I also want to mention that I was talking to Heather just the other day and she's also going to be doing a Lathgertha hairstyle, so you're going to have one from me and one from her, so you'll have two to pick from if this is a style that you like or if you really like this character as I do. And that's it. I'm just going to start and I hope you guys like the video. It doesn't really matter where your part is. And it doesn't really matter what texture your hair is. It can be straight, curly, whatever it is fine, because you kind of want this look to look a little rough. And you're just going to take a section here at the front. You want the lines, the parts to be really even, so use a comb or some sort of hair chopstick to help you do that. While I'm pinning this section up, I've sort of pulled it to the front and I'm just kind of twisting it. And the reason I've done that is so that when I actually slick it back later, there'll be like a little bit of weird bumpy volume. So it's just one of my little hair tricks. Now taking your comb again, you're going to make two even sections on both sides of your head. And again, you want the parts to be really straight. So take care with that. So here's where the first part is. It's kind of like right where my ear is. And that's the first one. And here's the second. With the rest of my hair, I'm just going to ponytail it out of the way for now. Now with these two sections, you're going to be creating 4 little braids. And you can do a Dutch version or you can do a French. I'm going to do the Dutch because I kind of like how they stick out. And so what you're going to do is you're going to have to make parts in these tiny little sections too. So I usually brush my hair forward, and then from the part, I divide it in 2. And again, you want the line to be pretty straight. While I work on this top section, I am going to just take this one and pin it back with another claw clip. So just in case you're new to my channel, a Dutch braid is literally like a French braid, except that you braid the strands under as opposed to over, and that's what causes that little 3D pop-up of the braid. And if you don't know how to do a Dutch braid, I will have a link in the underbar to a tutorial. I can't speak today. That might be helpful. These tiny little sections can be very tricky. So what I like to do is hold my hands over my head like this, and I can always rest this hand on top of my head, which is what I'm doing right now if I get tired. And I usually pull the braid up pretty high if I can to keep it sort of even on my head. I don't want it to sort of lag down. But when I'm adding hair in, I kind of move the braid away from my head so that I can pick up the tiny strands behind it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm like sort of moving the braid away from my head and then moving it back into position once I've got the hair added in. Normally when I do braids, I try to go all the way down, but for this style, I kind of like having a little bit of a tail at the end of each braid. I think it looks a little bit more Lathgertha. If you made it through the 4 side braids, you're good to go. The rest of this is pretty much smooth sailing. I mean, there are more steps to it, but it's not that hard now. Your hair, take it out of the ponytail. Smooth it out if you need to, because you don't want any tangles, at least not yet. And with the rest of it, with this hair here, you're just going to sort of divide it into 2 pieces. And you can clip the top piece out of the way for now. And you're going to section 2 small pieces from right behind your ear. So like, you don't even need a comb, but you want to take an even amount of hair from this side. So like that much hair on one side. And then on the other side as well. I'm going to tie them under my chin to keep them out of the way. We're gonna make more braids, but these are gonna be a lot easier. So I took my hair out of the clip. I've got my 2 lower sections tied off. And I know there's so many steps to this, right? So you've got these 2 braids here on the side, and like somewhere around your ear, you wanna take a small piece, just a small piece, it doesn't have to be a big one. And you're gonna do it on both sides of your head. And with this, you're going to make another 3-strand braid. Now you'll have 6 braids on each side, so you have lots of braids, and this is when we start to actually tie them together. So again, going back to the rest of your hair, we're gonna cut it in half again, without the braids in the way. And use a claw clip to hold it up for a minute. I'm going to take the 2 braids that I just made here at the side, not the Dutch braids, but the 2 ones, like the free-standing ones. And let me just make sure that's the right one. Yes, it is. And you're going to bring them kind of underneath this parted piece of hair. And you want them to show, so you want to tie them kind of loosely, so that they sort of stand out a little bit. When this hair gets released on top of it, you'll see it kind of, oh, that's a terribly uneven part, but it doesn't really matter. So letting my hair down, you can kind of see these 2 braids underneath the hair, or you will be in a minute. 2 top Dutch braids, and bring them to the back of your head here. You kind of want them to be behind the part, this main part. And what you could do is you could unravel them and braid them together a la Dany Targaryen, but I am lazy and I'm just going to tie them together. Anyway, I feel like the more braids you have in this, the better. I'm gonna release these 2 sections here. And I'm leaving these braids down, the 2 bottom Dutch ones. So I'm just gonna smooth them out really quick. And what you're gonna do with them is you're going to draw them back. And when you draw them back, you're going to cover the bottom braids. You see what I mean? Give it a little bit more texture than a regular braid. I'm just going to take these 2 strands of hair. Oops. There's so many other strands that are caught in my hands here. Anyway, I'm gonna take them both and I'm gonna tie a knot. So I've done 1 pass, and now I'm gonna double knot it. Okay, so it's gonna hang like that. Now I'm just gonna gather all the hair together and divide it into 3 pieces and make a braid. At this point, it should look a little bit like this. So I've got my top 2 Dutch here, tied off here, they're running down. I've got my little knotted braid here. And the 2 bottom Dutch braids, I've kind of whipped them over my shoulder so that you can see that they're kind of being covered, but that they're still there. And you can sort of see this braid here, the side braids. So on that side as well. Oops, that one's a little bit covered, so I'll pull it out a little bit. The last part is kind of, I guess, her signature, and it's the big sort of poofy front piece here. And you can do anything you want. If you feel like teasing your hair, go for it. I don't actually tease my hair, so I had to think of something else to do, and I kind of came up with something that I think might work. So as I said, when I sectioned this off originally, I kind of pulled it to the front. And the reason I did that is because now my hair is kind of like that, right? So when I actually bring it back, it does kind of stick up a little bit more than it normally would. And so I am just going to take it off. I'm taking it right about here in the middle, and I'm going to make a knot. And once I get the tail of my hair through the knot, I'm just gonna push it up. And it's like crazy, right? It looks crazy. So now I've got this knot. And the knot's really cool because I can just use my bobby pins to hold the knot down, and that keeps the coif thing up. This is what it looks like. This is the finished product. So as you can see, I took the knot and I just kind of left the piece hanging down. I didn't tease it or anything, but I did like take it in my hand and sort of scrunch it up a little bit so that it looked a little bit more frizzy and crazy. I've seen in some scenes that it was like braided in, this piece here, and then in other scenes it's just kind of like laying on top of everything else. And I actually like it better that way because it looks more insane, and the Vikings were insane, so it's fitting. Yeah, I hope you like it, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!